She, it's time now to let the day slip softly away. Let your shoulders drop and feel the muscles in your face begin to ease. And you'll begin to smell the faint aroma of olive oil lamps. You hear a soft trickle of water from a distant cistern. You are the daughter of a trapdoor mechanic, a man whose fingers were always thick with grease, and splinters who knew the timings of lifts and gates the way a poet knows rhythm. You were born in the lower tunnels, in a makeshift chamber curtained by linen sacks and driftwood beams. Your cradle was once a lion's cage, cleaned and soft with straw, its bars now hung with charms of bone and thread to keep away spirits. You learned to walk by torchlight, your earliest steps echoing softly along corridors carved into stone. You learned the difference between the sound of a tiger's breath and a bear's snore before you knew how to write your own name. And every night, when the arena above went silent, when the blood was washed away and the crowds dispersed, and the slaves finished stacking sand for the next show, your world began to breathe in a different rhythm. Your fingers traced the ridges of the wall beside you, feeling the grooves worn smooth from centuries of passing hands. You aren't a visitor here, you live here. You know these paths like muscle memory. Every twist, every low beam, every hollow where warmth can be stored. You are part of the underbelly, the breath beneath the empire's roar. You work by lamplight, and you sleep in the quiet curve of the Colosseum's ribs, warm and nutty, flickering faintly in the distance. Imagine the way the light dances on rough stone, the way it casts slow-moving shadows over crumbling archways, rusted gates, and alcoves lined with hay, tools, and silence. Down here, under the Colosseum, there are no cheering crowds, no sun-drenched sands of battle, only the still breath of the forgotten. But once these tunnels throbbed with life, not just with animals and gladiators, not just with Roman guards or stage crews, but with the quiet lives of those who lived beneath the empire as greatest spectacle. And tonight, you'll walk among them. Let your jaw go slack, unclenched, and feel your eyes grow heavier with each breath. Notice the quiet in the room around you, the stillness that cradles you like a blanket drawn up over tired limbs. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, imagine all the tension in your body flowing downward, sinking like soft sand into the earth. One more deep breath and release. There's nothing to do now, nowhere to be, except right here, right now, as you drift into a different time, into a world that existed long ago. You're safe here. You're wrapped in silence and gentle shadows and story. Our story today begins beneath the great stone bones of ancient Rome, far below the dust and roar of the arena, in the labyrinth of shadowed corridors and candlelit chambers that once pulsed with a quiet life of their own. Our story begins in the hush of the hypogeum, where soft moss now creeps up the old limestone walls, and the air is cool and damp, thick with the scent of earth, wood, and forgotten history. Breathe in deeply. The stone beneath your bare feet is cool and uneven. Your name has been lost to time, but your story remains. Your dreams come softly tonight. They are not filled with battles or roaring beasts, but with the warmth of daily rhythms. You dream of firelight flickering across the soft curve of your mother's cheek, of the smell of oiled wood and warm leather, of the way your father gently pats the hinges on the lift and hums a tune no one ever taught him. These are the quiet dreams of those who live below the surface, neither slave nor free, not quite seen, not quite forgotten. You exist in the spaces between. The morning comes not with the sun, but with sound. A cart above rolls across the upper stones, its wooden wheels groaning like old bones. Birds' doves mostly flutter down into the Colosseum's open belly, cooing lazily. From your corner of the hypogeum, you feel the soft tremor of footsteps from above. It is the Lanista, the gladiator trainer, making his early rounds. He does not bother with those below the arena, but you know the sound of his stride, firm and impatient, the way his iron-capped sandals strike stone with purpose. You stretch your joints stiff from the stone beneath your mattress. The blanket slides off your shoulder as you rise, revealing a tunic dyed with walnut and trimmed in faded teal. Your mother's hands made it, carefully mended over seasons of wear. Your feet, bare, press into the cool stone as you step quietly through your family's small quarters. The air is still and smells of smoke, old bread, and the must of centuries. A rat skitters past the archway. You pay it no mind. It is just one of the many neighbors who share this underworld with you. Your father is already gone, his tools missing from their hooks. A few oat cakes wrapped in linen remain on the table, your mother's early offering. You take one, bite into its soft, nutty center, and chew slowly as you walk toward the larger chamber at the heart of the hypogeum. It is here that the real work begins. The space is vast, its ceilings lower than the grandeur of the rooms above, but to you it feels like a cathedral. The wooden platforms creak beneath your weight. The ropes swing gently, even without wind. A beam of sunlight filters down through a distant trapdoor left ajar, illuminating a swirl of dust in the air like golden snow. The cages line the walls, some empty, some not. The scent is thick with fur, musk, and hay. You pass by the hyena, curled into itself like a great spotted boulder, and the leopards stretched in feline indifference on their wooden perches. You do not speak to them today. Some days require only silence. You find your father near the central lift, working with two other men. They grunt and push and pull on the winch, testing its resistance. The wood groans but holds. You watch quietly until he sees you, and when he does, his face softens. He calls for you to help, and you do, placing your hands over his, palms against the warmth of the rope. The fibers scratch your skin, but the feeling is familiar. You pull, heave, counterbalance. Your muscles remember the rhythm. As the lift rises and lowers, your mind drifts. You imagine the noise that will soon flood this space again. Drums, cheers, horns, the scream of wild animals, the clash of men and metal. But all of that is still hours away. Right now, beneath the Colosseum, there is only the creak of old wood, the smell of grease and fire, and the quiet communion of hands on rope. The morning work continues. You refill oil lamps with the careful balance of someone who spilled too many before. You sweep away loose hay and rebind frayed netting. You help feed the animals, carefully, respectfully. The older girl, Livia, gives you a sliver of dried apricot as thanks for passing her a bucket. You smile and savor it. Moments of sweetness are rare and precious here. Later, you're sent to gather fresh water from the cistern near the back of the hypogeum. You take a clay jug, its rim worn smooth from years of use, and follow the tunnel's path, humming to yourself. The darkness presses close, but you do not fear it. The walls know you. The coolness of the stone calms your skin, and your feet know the places where the floor dips, where the cracks split wide. When you reach the water chamber, you pause. The light here is thin, silvery, filtered through slits far above. The water is cold, clean, and tastes of iron and earth. You dip the jug, watching the ripples expand, then still. You take a sip and feel it settle in your belly like a stone, grounding you. On your way back, you see one of the performers, an old dwarf, who entertains the crowds by mimicking the emperor's walk. He's seated near the tiger cage, eating a fig and nodding sleepily. You pass each other like ghosts, neither speaking, but you offer him a smile. He returns it with a wink. By midday, the upper arena begins to stir. You hear the gates being drawn back, the sound of drums echoing faintly down into your world. The animals begin to grow restless. The panther paces, the bull snorts. The trainers begin their routines, and the first performers take their marks. You and your family move aside, retreating to the storage chambers as the machinery of the day takes over. You curl up beside a crate of spare shields and furs and rest your head on a folded tunic. The heat from above begins to seep downward, mingling with the sweat of the tunnels. But you are used to it. You drift between wakefulness and dreams, lulled by the movement around you. Later still, the games begin. You hear them through the stone, distant and booming, the roar of the crowd, the thrum of drums, the sound of hooves pounding the arena floor. It's as though a storm is raging above your head, but you are safe beneath its fury. You lie still and listen, letting it wash over you. It's a strange thing to feel peace while chaos unfolds just a few meters above, but that is life here. That is the balance you've come to understand. Somewhere an animal roars deep, powerful, and final. You close your eyes and let your breath match the rhythm of the lift chains swaying. You let the stone cradle you again, and you remember that you are part of this place. Not just a witness, not just a child, but a soul stitched into the bone and breath of Rome's great beast. And tonight, like every night, you will sleep beneath it, while the world above cries out in blood and glory. When the roar finally dies, it is not silence that returns first, but smoke, the scent of burned offerings, torches, snuffed too soon, and fresh blood hangs in the air, drifting downward through the grates and cracks like incense. The tunnels grow heavy with it. Your mother calls softly for you, her voice like thread sewn into cloth familiar, gentle, and warm. You lift your head from the folded tunic and blink through the low light. The torch near the shield crates has begun to dim. She carries a fresh one, newly lit, its orange glow flickering off the damp walls. She does not rush you. There is no rush now. She tells you there will be leftovers tonight, bread smeared with lard, a bit of salted fish from the emperor's table. Someone always drops something. The games may end in death, but they often bring crumbs of abundance to those beneath. You walk with her through the service tunnel, passing others who live like you, old men sharpening blades for morning, a woman combing her son's hair beside a stack of folded nets, a small boy chasing a beetle across the stone floor, giggling so softly it sounds like water dripping. The feast above may be over, but the world down here is just beginning to stretch. You return to your quarters. Your father is there, wiping sweat from his brow with the edge of his tunic, his knees cracked and red from kneeling at the lift all day. He smiles when he sees you, but says nothing. His voice is spent. Your mother hands him a bit of wine in a wooden cup. She breaks the bread in half, passes a piece to you, and you each eat in silence. It is a quiet, sacred thing. Bread shared beneath stone. Fish passed from hand to hand. Fingers still blackened with soot. Mouths too tired for talk. Afterward you lie back again, arms crossed behind your head, watching the flicker of the flame on the ceiling. The walls are marked with soot and fingerprints, little smudges of life that say, "We were here." You think sometimes that long after the arena is gone, after the crowd has vanished, and the emperor's name is forgotten, those marks will remain, hidden in the rock like cave paintings, the true record of what mattered. You drift again, half asleep, listening to the strange music of the underworld, a bucket tipping, a rat squeaking, the soft click of your mother's needle sewing another patch into the knee of your tunic. It is strange, perhaps, to find peace here, to find comfort in the groan of pulleys or the breath of lions. But it is real, it is home, and you love it in ways even you do not yet understand. Sometimes late at night, the guards above leave their posts for a while. That's when you sneak upward. Not far only, as far as the animal lift that opens into the arena floor. You do not go above it. You do not dare. But you stand at the edge, fingers curled around the cold iron bars, and look upward into the dome of stars. There are so many, more than any mosaic has ever captured. You trace their shapes in your mind, not the gods and heroes of Roman tales, but the names you have given them, the archer, the fish, the lantern. You wonder if those above ever look at them too, or if the blood and the cheering drown them out. You wonder if the animals notice, if the panther, pacing in her cage beside you, ever pauses to gaze at the sky and remembers something older than stone and rope. The stars shimmer, silver threads sewn into the black tapestry of night, and you breathe slowly, deeply. You let it all settle into you, the scent of straw, the warmth of the stone beneath your bare feet, the creak of rope above. These moments are yours alone, and then a noise, not sharp, not frightening, just the faintest click. You freeze, not out of fear, but curiosity, the kind of curiosity that only a child raised in darkness learns to trust. You follow it, a loose stone, perhaps, a shift of rope, but no, it is music, distant, gentle, and haunting. A flute. Somewhere someone plays a soft melody. You know who it is. The old dwarf again, his little reed pipe singing lullabies through the corridors, echoing off stone. You sit by the bars and listen, your eyes fixed on the stars, the music twining like smoke through the dark. It is a song of old things, of quiet lives and gentle endings, and it lulls you not into sadness, but into stillness, into presence. Eventually the tune fades. You stay a while longer, then return the way you came, careful not to wake the sleeping cats or stir the straw. Back in your chamber, the lamp has gone out, but the coals in the brazier still glow. You curl next to them, warm and safe. Your breath slows. Your body sinks into the stone floor like it's silk, and the sounds of the Colosseum, the beating heart of an empire, grow softer. Softer, softer still. You dream again. But this time you dream of the arena not as it is, but as it once was, new gleaming, its marble untouched by soot or blood. You walk through it alone, beneath a sky of pale rose and gold. The seats are empty. The floor is swept clean. There is no roar, no drums, just silence. You move to the center and look up. And in that moment it feels as though the world is watching you gently, without judgment. And when you wake, you carry that stillness with you, like a stone in your pocket, like a whisper tucked behind your ear, the kind of silence that only those beneath the Colosseum will ever truly understand. The next morning arrives with a hush heavier than usual, as though the entire Colosseum is holding its breath. You awaken before anyone else, the faint blue of early dawn leaking down through the highest grates. The dust in the air is still, suspended like memory. Something is different today. You feel it in your chest before you even rise. You pull your tunic over your head slowly, careful not to disturb your mother's sleep, and walk quietly through the corridors, your sandals making only the faintest whisper against the stone. At the far end of the hypogeum, the torch sconces are already lit. That's unusual. You follow the light until you reach the main lift platform, and there, standing in the half-shadow, is a man you've only seen once or twice before. His robes are a deep violet, trimmed in gold thread. He wears a laurel crown, not of leaves but of metal, and carries a scroll in one hand and a whip in the other, not as a threat, but as a symbol, a herald, not a master. He speaks with two guards, pointing toward the staging chambers, his voice low and clipped. You stay back, hidden behind a column, watching. You are used to being unnoticed, to drifting between the layers of this world like mist, but something about this man makes you cautious. When he leaves, you wait a few breaths before stepping into the light. One of the guards notices you but says nothing. They know who you are, the quiet girl, the rope runner, the animal whisperer. You belong here. You find your father not far off, inspecting a series of replacement wheels for one of the heavier lifts. He doesn't look up at first, but gestures to a nearby stool. You sit, and in time, he tells you what he knows. Today, a foreign beast will be unveiled. Not a lion or tiger or elephant. Something different. A gift from the East. No one knows quite what it is, only that it came in a great wooden crate wrapped in iron chains, sealed with wax, delivered by boat and cart and silence. The handlers are wary, the guards nervous, but for those who live below, it's just another day with a new scent in the tunnels. The scent is sharp, musky, unfamiliar. You catch it later as you pass the central pen. A low growl follows, it not aggressive, just deep, knowing. You feel the hairs on your arms rise and your feet slow. You do not approach the crate, but you glance at it from the corner of your eye. It doesn't move, but you feel it. Whatever is inside is not asleep. It is waiting. Your father calls for you again. There is work to do. A pulley is sticking. The oil is low. The trapdoor latches are swelling in the humidity and must be sanded smooth. You return to your rhythm. Tools, ropes, claws dipped in tallow. The sound of stone grinding wood, of rope stretching under weight. Familiar things, comforting things. As the sun rises higher above, the noise from the surface begins to build. Footsteps echo across the upper tiers. Voices murmur. Trumpets sound in practice. The games will begin soon. You are not expected to watch. You never are. But today you're allowed to help near the lift gates. Just close enough to glimpse the floor of the arena when the doors rise. You stand beside your father, fingers poised over the counterweight release. He watches you closely, his brows knit in concentration, but there's trust in his silence. When the signal comes, you pull. The gates creak, rise open. and for just a moment light floods down from above, bright, white, overwhelming. You see sand and stone, and there it is. The creature steps forward. You catch only a glimpse, tall, not towering, covered in something like feathers or fur, but not quite either. Its limbs move with deliberate grace, as though it knows it is being watched. The crowd gasps, not with fear, with wonder. It does not roar. It does not pace. It stands silent, head tilted slightly to one side, as though listening to something only it can hear. And then the gate lowers again. Darkness returns. The noise above roars to life, trumpets, voices, stomping feet, but you stand still. Your fingers still curled around the lever, your chest tight with something you can't name. Not fear, not awe. Something stranger, as though the creature has seen you through all the gates and ropes and stone, as though it has known your name all along. That night, after the games, the tunnel is quiet again. Your family eats late, the stew saltier than usual, but no one complains. Your mother tells you you've grown taller. Your father gives your shoulder a squeeze that lingers longer than usual. You lie awake after the fire dims, staring at the low ceiling. You think of the creature, of its stillness, of the way it didn't roar or resist or run, just stood. You wonder if it sleeps now, curled beneath the arena as you are. You wonder if it dreams, and if it does, what of? You fall asleep, wondering, and your dreams that night are strange. You are. Tonight your dreams take you farther than before. You walk through ancient corridors made of light, where the stone glows softly beneath your feet, and every echo feels like a whisper meant only for you. In your dream, the Colosseum is empty, but not abandoned. It breathes. The great arches above pulse with warmth. Ivy climbs its bones like veins. You wander freely, past stalls and gates, past cells where no creature stirs, and through doorways that open not into chambers, but into fields, gardens, quiet rivers, candle-lit rooms with soft tapestries blowing an invisible wind. In one room, your father sits beside a fire, humming. In another, your mother gently stitches the stars into the sky with a silver needle. You do not speak, you only watch. And they smile. When you wake, the stone is cool beneath your back, and the blanket has slipped down to your ankles. A soft trickle of water echoes nearby, and for a moment you don't remember if you are still dreaming. The transition from dream to waking in the underworld is never sharp. It is like the slow turning of a tide. You sit up quietly, rubbing your eyes, and see the faint glow of morning firelight down the hall. The chamber is still, your parents breathing softly in their corner. The carved wooden bird is warm from your hand. You stretch, then gather your tunic and sandals, shaking the straw from the folds. Today you've been asked to help with the dying vats. You like this task. The colors calm you. Indigo, madder root, saffron, ochre all swirling together in warm clay pots that steam faintly in the corners of the textile hall. You pass the animal quarters on your way there, nodding to the stableman. The panther is awake, but calm. She watches you pass with steady, curious eyes. You press your hand gently to the bars and whisper your greeting. She does not move, but her tail flicks, slow and soft, like a ribbon in water. In the dying chamber, the air is thick with scent, strong, earthy, rich. Vats bubble faintly. A woman with graying hair and hands stained crimson shows you how to stir the mixture without splashing. The trick, she says, is in your wrists firm but yielding. Like coaxing a story out of silence, you nod and begin. The clay paddle is heavy at first, but the rhythm is natural. Stir, lift, circle, repeat. The colors deepen with every turn. You feel as if you're churning sunlight into cloth, drawing warmth from pigment and steam. Another girl, Nori, helps hang the dyed lemons on the ropes strung along the corridor beams. They drip like waterfalls, reds and yellows and blues glowing in the torchlight. She tells you a joke about one of the gladiators slipping on a fishbone before his match. You laugh softly, the sound bouncing off the stone walls like music. It's easy to forget the world above when you're surrounded by such simple beauty. When the work is done, the woman rewards you both with candied almonds from a pouch at her belt. You savor them slowly, each one a tiny miracle of sweetness. Your teeth stick a little, and you lick your fingers clean, the scent of dye still lingering on your skin. You sit for a moment on a low bench, watching the steam curl upward from the vats and vanish into the arching ceilings. It's warm here, safe. You let your head rest on the wall and close your eyes just for a moment, letting the hum of the dye vats lull you back into stillness. Later, you are sent to help a scribe who lives near the edge of the hypogeum. He copies orders from the guards above, preparing lists for the next day's games. You don't read well, but he says your handwriting is neat and your patience better than most. You sit on a low stool beside his writing board and dip your quill into the ink, forming careful letters on a parchment that smells of goat hide and age. Your fingers cramp after a while, but the rhythm is satisfying. The scribe hums an old folk tune as he works, tapping his fingers against the wood. At one point he tells you a story about a man who lived beneath the Colosseum so long he began to speak the language of stones. You wonder if it's true. You hope it is. By the time you finish your last page, your stomach is growling, and the lanterns along the main corridor are already being lit. The sky must be darkening above. You thank the scribe and carry the finished parchments down to the storage alcove, where they'll wait for the guards to collect them. The air here is cooler, and the faint scent of lavender hangs in the hall. Someone must have passed by earlier, carrying herbs from the gardens. You breathe deeply, letting the softness settle over you. Dinner is late that night. A simple stew made from lentils, carrots, and a scrap of salt pork. You eat with your family near the fire pit, listening to your mother tell a story about a girl who once climbed the tallest pine tree in Rome and spoke with a falcon at its top. Your father chuckles. You listen closely. You've heard it before, but tonight it feels new. Stories are like that, always changing a little in the telling, like firelight dancing on the same old wall. Afterward, you lie beside your father as he smokes a bit of rolled herb and hums softly, tapping a rhythm against the stone floor with his fingers. Your mother braids your hair slowly, carefully, her fingers working by feel more than sight. She hums, too, the same lullaby she's always sung. It's not Romang, it's older, from her village far away. She never told you the words, only the melody. You don't need the words to understand. You sleep with your head in her lap that night, the wooden bird clutched against your chest, the sound of coals crackling nearby. Above, the Colosseum may be planning its next great spectacle. But down here, beneath the marble and dust, you are held in something far older than glory. You are held in love, and in stillness, and in stone. The air is cool when you wake. and there's a dampness in the stone that wasn't there the night before. Somewhere above it must have rained. You can smell it now, wet dust, the tang of oxidized iron from the grates, and the faint sweetness of saturated hay. The scent travels downward like a blessing, drifting through the winding corridors of your world. Your mother stirs beside you, her shawl slipping from her shoulders. You gently cover her again before pulling on your tunic and sandals. The floor is slick in places, glistening in the early torchlight. You are sent today to assist with the animal handlers, not for feeding or cleaning, but for something more careful observation. One of the elephants has a sore foot, and the handler, a quiet older man with deep lines around his eyes, says your stillness is valuable. Elephants do not like loud voices or sudden movements. You nod, proud to be chosen, and walk beside him toward the larger pens at the far end of the hypogeum. The elephant stands in silence, its great form shifting gently from foot to foot. Steam rises from its back, and its eyes are intelligent, thoughtful. The handler shows you how to speak without sound. He moves slowly, tapping the air with gentle gestures. You watch, then copy. The elephant's ears twitch. Its trunk lifts slightly. You offer it a piece of boiled root, which it accepts with quiet grace. The injury is not serious, the man tells you, just a bruise. Still, it must rest. You volunteer to stay for a while to keep it company. He agrees, placing a blanket down for you beside the gate. And there you sit, in the dim stone chamber, with a creature from another world, the quiet between you thick and peaceful. You begin to hum again, that same lullaby from your mother. The elephant sways, and in that moment, beneath the marble bones of empire, you share something wordless with a being 10 times your size. By the time you return to the central chambers, the fires are already lit for midday meals. The kitchen boys are stirring pots of porridge, the scent of cumin and boiled barley curling down the halls. You're given a bowl and sit on the edge of a raised platform, legs swinging, spoon in hand. The porridge is hot, simple, and filling. You watch as others pass guards on break, a messenger carrying a scroll, a woman balancing a basket of coals on her head. It's like a quiet village down here, invisible but alive, tucked beneath the shouting of the crowd. Your father joins you with a bowl of his own. He doesn't speak at first, he rarely does when he's been working the lifts, but he nudges your leg with his knee and gives you a tired smile. You eat together in the silence, the way families do when the day has been long and the words aren't needed. Later, as you carry your bowl back toward the washing pail, you pass the old dwarf again. He's carving something into the wall this time, a little figure half lion, half man. You pause, curious. He grins, revealing teeth stained dark from wine, and says this one's for the gods who never made it upstairs. Then he returns to his work. You walk slowly after that, thinking about what he said. You wonder how many gods live down here in the dust and dark, unseen and unoffered to. Maybe there are spirits of the rope, of the pulley, of the straw, and the lamp. Maybe the shadows themselves are watching, keeping everyone safe. That night, as you curl up in your blankets, you think of those little gods. You whisper a small prayer, not to Jupiter or Mars or any name you've heard in the arena, but to the quiet ones, to the god of resting elephants, the god of soft footfalls, the god of clean water in dark tunnels. You whisper, and then you close your eyes, and you sleep without dreams. You awaken to the distant clatter of hooves above light quick and rhythmical. Horses, chariot teams, most likely. The day's event must be a race, or perhaps a grand military reenactment. These are the louder days. You know this by the way the walls hum faintly, the vibrations traveling down through layers of limestone and brick like a muted drum. But in your little corner, tucked beneath the arches, everything is still calm. Your mother is already awake, kneeling by the brazier, coaxing the embers back into flame. She looks tired but serene, her movements steady, the way rivers are steady even after storms. You help her prepare a small pot of boiled lentils and millet, your hands moving in practiced rhythm. She hums quietly, and the tune wraps around your thoughts like a scarf, soft and familiar, woven from years of dawns like this one. After breakfast, you're set with a group of others toward the rear storage vaults, deep, cool chambers where leather armor, banners, and unused props are kept. The tunnel walls here are darker, carved deeper into the rock. You pass a line of cracked amphorae stacked against the wall, still smelling faintly of olives and oil. Cobwebs shimmer in the torchlight. There's a reverence to this part of the hypogeum, as though the very stones remember. You are tasked with fetching a set of stage banners once used in a mock naval battle. The cloth is heavy, dyed dark crimson, with gold thread in the shapes of stylized waves. You carry them back folded over your shoulder, their weight pulling slightly at your neck. The smell of the fabric is musky and aged, like dried blood and sea air. But you walk with care, treating it as you would a holy relic, because here even the props are sacred. The noise above grows louder as the day continues. You recognize it now, the sudden roaring rise of voices, the horn blasts echoing down through the trapdoors. You retreat with others into the quiet chambers, away from the lifts, away from the chaos. You pass the old lion cages, most now empty, and run your fingers across the bars. The rust leaves a faint orange trace on your fingertips. You settle in a quiet alcove not far from the water cistern. It's your favorite place when the noise above becomes too much. The air is cool here, with a light trickle echoing from the carved channel in the wall. A patch of moss has taken root in one corner, soft and vibrant. You sit beside it, knees tucked up to your chest, and listen to the rise and fall of the city above. You imagine the game's unfolding horses galloping, wheels spinning, the crowd, a tide of sound that crests and breaks in waves. You feel no pull to see it. Not really. You already live inside the heart of it. You hear it, smell it, feel it in your bones. That is enough. Eventually, Livia finds you. She settles beside you and pulls from her pouch a handful of sugared dates. You eat in silence, legs pressed side by side, not touching, but close. She whispers that tomorrow she'll be helping to dye a banner in sea green. You smile, thinking of the steam rising off the vat, the cloth unfurling like kelp in water. She rests her head lightly against your shoulder for a moment, and then stands, brushing off her tunic. No words are needed. Down here, even friendship is soft-footed. Later, you help carry clean straw to the cages. You pass the old dwarf again, this time asleep beside a broken column, a scroll resting on his chest and a cat curled on his lap. You tiptoe past, careful not to disturb the peace he's found. You think perhaps the cat is one of the little gods, too, the kind that chooses when and where it wishes to be, without question. When evening falls, the drums above signal the end of the show. The noise dwindles slowly, like a candle burning low. You can almost feel the crowd rising as one, their sandals scraping the stone seats, the murmured chatter of thousands of voices filtering into the cool Roman twilight. And then the hush returns. Your father returns home late, his face streaked with soot, his tunic stained with grease. He leans against the archway for a long time before entering, as though shaking off the weight of the day. Your mother hands him a cloth and a bit of wine, and he nods in thanks. You offer him your share of the lentils, but he waves it away with a tired smile. "Keep it," he murmurs, voice rough as old rope. "You'll need your strength." That night, after the fire dims and the stone cools again, you lie awake for a while, staring into the dark. You imagine the layers of Rome above you, stone upon stone, crowd upon crowd, light upon shadow. You are buried beneath centuries, and yet you are here, living, breathing, quiet. You are not a statue. You are not a story carved on a wall. You are part of something living, tucked into the pulse of this great, sprawling beast of a city. And when sleep finally takes you, it is slow and deep. You do not dream of marble or glory, but of water trickling through stone, of moss growing in hidden corners, of elephants blinking in the dark, and of silence, blessed, beautiful silence. In the morning, the air tastes faintly of ash, just a trace, the kind that clings after too many torches have burned too long in narrow spaces. You rise with the rhythm of the fire's breath, the way you always do, your body knowing before your mind that the day has begun. The brazier glows, casting soft amber circles across the stone floor. You pad toward it on bare feet, shaking off sleep, the stone cold, but not unkind beneath your soles. Today is market day, and although you don't leave the Colosseum's underbelly, supplies from the outside world will pass through the gates, filtering downward like sunlight through a forest canopy. You're excited, not for anything grand or rare, just the possibility of something different. Perhaps a pomegranate rind left behind, a bit of citrus peel, or the flash of a color not worn by anyone down here. That is enough to make your chest feel warm with hope. Your mother gives you a small task, to help sort the used linen scraps and separate the clean ones from the bloodied pieces. You don't mind. You've done worse, and it gives you a reason to sit beside the corridor where the supply carts roll through, where the sounds of hooves and wheels echo down the sloped ramp like a traveling song. The linen pile is large, a tangle of white, russet, and ochre-stained cloth. You begin sorting by feel and scent, fresh-smelling, dry scraps in one heap, damp and red ones in another, destined for boiling. As you work, a procession of workers passes, men with broad shoulders, women with lined faces, baskets balanced on hips, clay jars swaying from yokes. You see a young boy about your age carrying a tray of what must be fruit figs, maybe, or roasted dates. He glances at you as he passes, eyes wide and curious. You nod. He nods. A flash of recognition between two children on opposite sides of the same quiet divide. He disappears into the corridor, and you keep working, the moment folding neatly into your morning like a hidden stitch in cloth. Later, a guard brings down a bundle of scrolls and sits in the corner near the main junction, unrolling one and tracing his finger along the line. You recognize him, not one of the cruel ones. This one once gave your father a pair of oiled gloves when the lift rope splintered. He doesn't speak to you, but he offers a small nod of acknowledgement. You like that. You return the gesture. At midday, a kitchen girl brings around bowls of wheat mash and bean paste. You sit against the wall, eating with your fingers, listening to the rustle of movement from above. There's something beautiful in this life, you think, not perfect, not easy, but grounded. Here, every bite of food is earned, every torch lit with care, every word spoken in low tones, like a promise not to shatter the air. In the afternoon, you are sent to help an older woman polish the brass fittings of a ceremonial gate one, rarely used now, but still maintained for festival processions. She hands you a cloth and a pot of fine ash, and together you rub small circles into the dull metal until it shines again. She tells you stories as you work about old emperors and foolish senators, about a monkey that once escaped into the crowd and was never seen again. You laugh quietly at that one, imagining the little creature scampering up marble columns, trailing olive pits behind him like breadcrumbs. While you polish, you catch your reflection in the brass distorted and golden, eyes too large, face stretched like water. You stare for a moment, not out of vanity, but wonder. Is that really what you look like to the world, or only to the brass? You touch your cheek, your chin, your forehead, tracing the edges of yourself in the light. Evening comes with a hush. The arena above is empty, the crowd long gone. The world slows. You carry a folded cloth bundle back to your family's chamber, the fabric warm from your arms. Inside, your mother has prepared a small bowl of stewed lentils and pine nuts. Your father is mending a broken sandal strap. The fire is low, casting more shadow than flame. You sit close together, not speaking much, only breathing the same quiet air. After the meal, you walk alone down the corridor toward the vent shaft, the one that opens just wide enough to reveal the stars. The path is familiar, each step a memory. You pass the rope coils, the barrels, the abandoned training shield leaning crookedly against the wall. And then you're there, the small space where the wall breathes in the night. You sit, you tilt your head. The stars are pale tonight, a light veil of cloud passing across their faces, but they shine still, stubborn and old. You whisper to them, not words, not names, just a feeling, a presence. You let them know you're still here, still breathing beneath the empire. A breeze flutters down through the vent, cool and sharp with the scent of stone and sky. It kisses your cheeks and stirs your hair. You close your eyes. You breathe it in. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are simply hidden. And in that, there is a kind of grace. The next day begins before the fire has even been relit. You stir in the cool darkness, woken not by sound or light, but by a strange silence, a heavy kind that presses against the stone walls and settles in your chest. You lie still, blinking, waiting for a familiar noise to return. The clatter of the baker's boy cart, the cough of the guard by the western arch, the rustle of straw near the animal pens. But none of it comes. Then, far off, a horn sounds low and drawn out, like something calling across a valley. You rise quietly, tiptoeing to the edge of your family's chamber. Others are stirring too, peering down corridors and lighting torches with careful hands. Your father steps outside in his work tunic, brow furrowed. Something is different today. Not wrong exactly, but not the same. A festival, someone whispers. A special appearance. An emperor's guest, perhaps. Or a rare animal brought in from the farthest reaches of the empire. the kind that draws crowds from every alley and rooftop of the city. You feel a small excitement in your belly, not for the spectacle above, but for the ripple it causes down here, the way everything shifts, like currents changing in a deep, still pool. By mid-morning, the corridors are full of movement. Messengers run past with scrolls clutched tight, their sandals slapping stone. Slaves carry baskets filled with oranges, pheasants, and garlands. The air smells of flowers, not wild ones, but the kind sold in the upper markets, sharp and perfumed, unfamiliar to your senses. You breathe them in with curiosity and a little caution, like someone listening to a new kind of music for the first time. Your mother sends you to help sweep near the animal lifts, making sure no debris clogs the grooves. You take your broom and move quickly, avoiding the rush of activity. As you sweep, you hear voices above many voices, male, female, young, old. An orchestra of lives layered atop one another, and beneath them all the slow clank of chains being tested, the groan of wood under strain. The machinery breathes like an old beast waking from sleep. The leopard in her cage growls softly, unsettled by the energy in the air. You pause to calm her, crouching near the bars and humming the soft tune you always do. Her eyes flick toward you, her muscles twitching, but she relaxes. You smile. She remembers. After your work is done, you're called to the water chamber to help carry jugs to the kitchen. The path is slick with condensation, the stone damp from dripping vents above. You walk slowly, carefully, the heavy jug against your hip. In the quiet between steps, you hear someone whispering a prayer. You don't turn to see who. It's a private sound, a personal offering to whatever gods still listen in the dark. Back in the kitchen alcove, a large pot of stew bubbles slowly over a low flame. Lentils, cabbage, onion, and a hint of cinnamon. You stir it carefully while the cook sharpens his knife. He tells you today's games will feature a sea battle, that the arena floor has been flooded in the early dawn hours, and ships will sail atop the water for a single afternoon of grandeur. You imagine it wooden boats on a shallow sea, men shouting, painted shields gleaming. The crowd will roar, the water will splash, and below it all the Colosseum will breathe. Later you are sent to fetch more charcoal from the southern stores. You pass several children crouched near the lion cages, tossing small bones and betting which cat will blink first. You shake your head and keep walking. The animals are uneasy today. Their silence is not peaceful. It's the silence of watching, waiting, sensing something none of you quite understand. In the charcoal vault, the air is thick and powdery. You fill a sack and tie it closed, the soot clinging to your fingers and arms like shadow paint. You wipe your forehead with the back of your sleeve and head back up the corridor, pausing once to catch your breath beneath a carved arch. There, someone has etched a single word into the stone. Memoni, I remember. You trace it with your finger, wondering who wrote it and what they remembered. A name? A home? A voice? You whisper it aloud, letting it echo softly. Memoni, Memoni. When you return to your family's chamber, the air feels heavier. The games have begun. The roar of the crowd is a low thunder, steady and primal. The floor beneath your feet thrums with it. Your father is sitting on his stool, sharpening a blade with quiet care. Your mother hums under her breath, repairing a basket handle with new reeds. They don't speak. The world above is too loud. Their silence is not fear, but instinct. Down here on days like this, you speak only when needed. Let the arena have its noise. The earth keeps its hush. As the hours pass, you lie back on the floor and let your mind drift. You imagine the water above the wooden ships, the stagecraft, the cheers, and you picture the animals waiting to perform, caged in the gloom, their muscles tight, their breaths shallow. You wonder if they understand what's coming, if they feel the story before it begins, or if they simply exist in the now, never wondering, never fearing, just sensing. Eventually you fall into a light sleep, the noise above becoming background music to your dreaming. You dream of quiet rivers winding through green fields, of temples built underground, of voices carved into walls like threads in a tapestry. You dream of silence, deep, endless, holy. When you wake, the light has shifted. The air smells of wet wood and iron, a signal that the water has been drained, the games are ending. You sit up slowly, body still heavy from sleep, and glance toward the corridor. Somewhere above, someone is cheering, but down here, the only sound is your mother's slow breath and the crackle of a dying flame. After the final horn echoes and the crowds begin to filter out, a familiar calm settles back into the hypogeum. It's a calm that isn't silent, but measured. Every creak of a cartwheel, every clink of chain, every breath of wind down a corridor feels slower now. The animals are fed. The torches are lowered. Workers move at half their usual pace, like leaves drifting instead of rustling. You step out into the larger tunnel and feel the difference immediately, like exhaling after holding your breath all day. A few guards pass by carrying empty baskets. Their expressions are unreadable, as always. You wonder what they see up there during the games. Do they watch? Do they look away? Do they cheer? Or do they count the hours? You'll never know. Their world is another layer, one that brushes. Here's only at the edges dot. Your father walks past with a bucket of warm water, his eyes soft from weariness. You ask if you can help. He nods once. You carry a cloth and follow him to the lift shaft, where the day's final cleanup is taking place. The wooden platforms are slick with sand and something darker, something you don't name aloud. You begin scrubbing the edges, not looking too closely, focusing instead on the motion. Circular, slow, steady, like winding time backward with your hands. Your father doesn't speak, but you hear the way his breath leaves his body, like he's exhaling a whole day with each sigh. When the last board is wiped, he rests a hand gently on your shoulder. No words, just a quiet weight, warm and grounding. It's the way he tells you that you've done well. You both return home, just as the first shadows stretch long across the corridor walls. Your mother has lit the small oil lamp again, its flame swaying in the drafty air. She's brewed something in a tiny pot, herbal, sharp, soothing. You sit with your back to the stone, cupping the clay mug in both hands, feeling the warmth seep into your fingers. You sip slowly. Sage, a hint of mint, maybe a sprig of rosemary. It tastes like calm, like the end of a storm. Tonight there are fewer voices in the halls. Most are resting, too tired for conversation. You can hear the soft rattle of someone sweeping, the drip, drip, drip of the cistern water, the creak of leather straps being coiled and stored. The fire near your chamber crackles faintly, its glow flickering across the patchwork cloth of your blanket. You lie down early, the cup still warm in your hands, and pull the wool over your body, tucking it around your shoulders like a shell. The wooden bird, your little carved companion, rests beside you. You hold it gently, thumb brushing the smooth curve of its back. You imagine it flying again, this time not away, but through the very air that holds this place together. Past arches and beams, past torchlight and hidden stairwells, above chambers where no one speaks anymore. You picture it fluttering softly, dipping and weaving, tracing the stories left behind in shadow. Your mother begins to hum. A different tune tonight, lower, slower. It weaves through the stone like a thread, binding everything in gentle quiet. You close your eyes. You feel your breath slow to match the sound. Your limbs begin to sink, first your feet, then your legs, your arms, your neck. The stone beneath you no longer feels cold. It feels like something old and steady, holding you gently, keeping you safe. The world above, with its lights and noise and ever-changing faces, disappears. It doesn't matter now. Up there the sand will be raked, the blood washed, the gates locked, but down here you are still. You are soothed by shadows, cradled in cool stone, rocked to sleep by the hush of ropes swaying, the breath of animals resting, the memory of chants and bells that fade into nothing. You are part of the Colosseum, not as a warrior, not as a prisoner, but as something in between. A thread in the tapestry, a pulse in the marrow. Sleep comes easily. You drift down, dot, and down, dot, and down. The next morning feels like silk pulled over your skin. You wake slowly, eyes fluttering open to the soft flicker of firelight dancing on the walls. There's no urgent sound, no echoing footsteps or shouted orders, just the gentle murmur of coals and the faint rustle of your mother preparing a small pot of barley porridge, the kind of morning that only happens after the chaos of a festival day, the kind where even the air seems to rest with you as if the walls themselves are sleeping in. Your body feels heavy, but not in a bad way, more like stone settled into. Earth, you stretch beneath the blanket, the warmth clinging to your skin, and blink slowly at the curved ceiling above. For a moment, you don't want to move. You just listen to the hush, to your father's steady breath, to the low bubbling of the porridge. These are the sounds of your world, and they are enough. Eventually, you sit up. Your mother hands you a wooden bowl without speaking, her smile soft and sleepy. The porridge is plain, but comforting. Warm grains and a drizzle of oil, with a pinch of salt rubbed between her fingers. You eat slowly, every bite grounding you further into the morning. Today is a rest day. Your father says, no games, no guests, no great mechanisms to oil or ropes to pull. Only simple tasks, quiet ones, cleaning tools, mending blankets, brushing, dust from the corners where shadows settle thickest. You nod. You like rest days. They make the tunnels feel like a home again. After breakfast, you take the old brush and begin sweeping near the corridor that leads to the gladiator training pens. It's mostly empty now. Just a few wooden dummies leaned against the wall. Some broken helmets stacked like bowls. You work slowly, letting your thoughts drift. You think about the scribe's quiet song, the way the dye woman laughed when she spilled indigo on her apron, the stillness in the elephant's eyes. These memories float up like leaves in clear, water gentle and unhurried. Later, you bring your blanket to the corner near the vent and sit cross-legged beneath the lattice of faint sky. The wind today is different, cooler, carrying a scent that reminds you of pine bark and fresh rain. Maybe someone burned cedar branches in a brazier above, or maybe the gods sent a breeze just for you. You close your eyes and breathe it in. From where you sit, you can hear the soft clinking of pottery down the hall, someone sorting jars. You can hear the distant laughter of two girls trying to carry a jug that's clearly too heavy. You can hear your own heartbeat, steady and slow, like the rhythm of a great beast slumbering far beneath the city. Your wooden bird rests on your lap. You smooth your thumb over its wings again and again, the surface warm soft by habit. You whisper, a story to it, one you make up just for today, about a bird who flew too high and fell asleep in the clouds, who woke up floating above a sea of stars, carried not by wind, but by silence. The bird, you say, didn't want to come down, not right away, because up there in the hush it could hear everything, not the noise of the world, but the secret sounds like the sigh of the moon, or the whisper of mountains turning in there. Sleep. You smile to yourself, knowing the bird is only wood, and yet, still listening, the hours pass slowly in the best way. You help your mother patch a tear in the side of the blanket, sitting shoulder to shoulder, threading the needle with your small fingers. She teaches you to knot it with care, to make the stitches hold like a promise. Your father carves a new spoon from an old bit of cypress, the scent rising like ghosts of forgotten forests. Someone nearby bakes flatbread, and the scent drifts past your archway, making your stomach flutter in quiet delight. As evening approaches, the sky above the vent darkens, shifting from pale blue to smoky violet. You lie on your back, fingers laced over your stomach, listening to the sounds of the hypogeum settling in again. The day has passed without fanfare, and you are grateful. There is magic in the ordinary, in the way shadows lengthen, in the way firelight makes stone look like gold, in the way your mother braids your hair before sleep, her fingers soft and slow, like weaving peace into your scalp. That night, you lie beneath your blanket with the bird tucked against your chest, and your breath perfectly still. You feel the whole world above you, sleeping too. The city, the Colosseum, the emperor himself probably dreaming behind marble walls. But down here, you are not dreaming, you are being, and in that there is a different kind of wonder. The next morning, a cool mist lingers low in the tunnels, clinging to the stone like a breath that hasn't yet exhaled. You wake slowly, curled beneath your blanket, and stretch as your muscles ease back into the quiet rhythm of life. There's no horn today, no rattling carts, just the soft tap of dripping water in the distance, and the occasional flutter of wings from the doves that roost in the cracks of the walls above. You rise, dress, and carry the oil lamp down the corridor toward the shared cistern. The glow from the flame catches the sheen of water pooled along the edges, reflecting tiny golden stars in the dampness. You dip your jug into the basin, careful not to disturb the mossy stones, and let the sound of the water fill your ears. It's peaceful, like a lullaby you've known forever. When you return, your mother has made a simple breakfast, last night's bread, warmed and dipped in olive oil. She tears a piece for you, her fingers soft and quick. You sit beside her and eat slowly, savoring the slight crunch of the crust, the richness of the oil. Your father joins you and takes a seat on the edge of the low stone bench, cradling his bowl in both hands. He doesn't speak, but he smiles. And in that smile you feel full before the food has even settled in your belly. Today, you are sent to the lamp keeper's alcove, a narrow, smoky space tucked between two storage corridors. The lamp keeper is a woman with a voice like smooth gravel and hands that are always covered in soot. She shows you how to trim the wicks just right so they burn long and slow. You learn to pour the oil without spilling, to adjust the flame with a breath, to carry the tiny flames in hollowed clay shells that glow like honeyed light. As you work, she tells you that every lamp has a memory, that the flame remembers who it has warmed, who it has frightened, who it has comforted in the deep hours of night. You nod and believe her. Later, she sends you to deliver a newly lit lamp to the lower corridor near the southern stairs. The tunnel is quieter there, a little colder, the shadows longer and heavier. You walk slowly, lamp held steady in both hands, watching the golden pool of light flicker over the walls as you go. You feel as though you're parting a veil of shadow as you walk, carving a soft, glowing path through the hush. When you arrive, you place the lamp in the iron sconce beside the arch and step back. The flame dances once, then steadies. It looks beautiful against the stone, a drop of gold in a world of ash. You stand there for a long while, not needing to move, just watching it burn, just letting it be. In the afternoon, you help collect empty amphorae from the upper hallway near the winch chamber. The clay jars are cool and smooth under your arms, each one slightly different in size and shape. You carry them carefully, one at a time, and line them up beside the water store. The line grows longer as others join you, and soon it resembles a parade of sleeping giants, their round bellies pressed together in perfect silence. You hear laughter as you work, not loud, just soft, close, and warm. Livia and the boy who carved your wooden bird are sitting by the ropes, talking about something that makes them giggle. You smile without joining them. It's enough to hear it, enough to know that joy lives here too, tucked into corners, folded between shadows, like dried herbs hidden in cloth. Evening comes with a scent of smoke and thyme. Your mother has prepared a stew with beans and carrots, and you eat curled near the fire pit, your knees tucked beneath your chin. Your father speaks tonight, not much, but enough to tell you a story about a horse that once refused to leave the arena, choosing instead to sit beside the emperor's chair until nightfall. You ask if it's true. He shrugs. Maybe, he says, with that glint in his eye. Maybe not. But the horse knew what it wanted. After the meal, your mother brushes your hair. Her fingers are gentle, even though the comb is made of carved bone and snags sometimes. She hums again the same old song, the one without words. You wonder where she learned it, who she sang it to before you, and whether the melody was hers or if it belonged to the tunnels themselves, passed down like a torch, one voice to the next. That night, you lie awake a little longer, your body tired, but your mind wandering. You stare at the lamp, still flickering, on the ledge, and think about all the places its light has touched, all the stone it has kissed, all the faces it has watched sleep. You wonder, if you could follow the light, trace it from flame to flame, wall to wall, chamber to chamber, how far you could go, what you might find. You imagine it now, stepping softly through the maze, led only by flickering gold, past beasts and brooms, and bones, past cages and gates and amphorae, past every whisper and every sigh, and at the very end, where the stone thins and the world above leans close, you find a single quiet place, a place where light breathes, and shadows rest, and everything is still. The following morning arrives cloaked in silence, not the cold silence of fear or absence, but the thick, woolen quiet that comes after rain. You feel it even before your eyes open, the dampness in the stone, the softness of the air, the way. Your breath feels heavy with earth and sleep. You stir beneath your blanket, curling deeper for a moment, just long enough to savor the stillness. When you finally sit up, the world is dim and hushed. The torch in your chamber has burned low, casting a faint golden circle against the far wall. Your father has already gone off to check the platforms, most likely, but your mother still sleeps, her arm folded gently beneath her cheek, her braid a dark ribbon across the pillow. You don't wake her. She works hard. She deserves rest. You move slowly today. Everyone does. The rain from above has found its way through the old cracks in the stone, leaving the floors slick and the air cool. The dust has settled, and the usual creaks of rope and groans of gait have softened, as if the entire Colosseum has exhaled. You pass through the corridor with the amphorae again and pause. Tiny rivulets of water trail down the walls, carving new lines in the limestone. You trace one with your finger, watching as it weaves like a river across the uneven stone. Even here, where everything seems permanent, change finds a way. You're sent to the far end of the storage hall to help stack dried firewood. The logs are bundled in twine, smelling of pine and sap. You stack them one by one, listening to the soft sound they make when they knock together hollow, like a drum played gently with open palms, a rhythm only those underground ever learn. To hear, Livia joins you after a while, humming a song under her breath as she works. She says she heard that a lion gave birth last night, somewhere in the upper cages. 2 cubs, soft as smoke, their eyes not even open yet. You ask if she's seen them. She shakes her head, but her smile says she believes it's true. You do too. When the work is done, you both sit for a while, resting your backs against a wall. She hands you a fig she's tucked into her pouch, half dried, sticky with sweetness. You tear it in half and eat slowly, the taste rich and grounding. You speak little, but your silence together feels full, like a room with every chair occupied by memory dot by midday. The air begins to shift. The rain has stopped above, and thin beams of light slip through the stone grates in the ceiling, turning the dust into golden threads that hang in the air. You walk toward the shaft where you sometimes sit, and see the vent glowing softly like a sacred doorway. You climb to your usual spot and peer up. The sky is pale, washed out, the clouds parting slowly like curtains. You see a dove fly overhead, tiny against the vast circle of the oculus, and it reminds you how far above the world truly is. And yet it also feels close, as if the line between surface and below has blurred. You lie down near the vent and close your eyes, letting the filtered sun kiss your cheeks. You imagine your body becoming part of the stone again, warm, grounded, slow. You think about the lion cubs, about fig trees, about songs hummed into wood. You think about time, not as something ticking forward, but as something breathing beside. You. You exhale and match its pace. When you return to your family's chamber, your mother is awake again and preparing a pot of soup. She hands you a slice of bread, the crust still warm from the coals, and you sit together, feet tucked beneath your legs. She asks if you've seen anything beautiful today. You tell her about the river of water on the wall, about the dove inn, the sky, about the fig shared in silence. She listens, nods, and then cups your face in her hands. It's a gift, she says softly, to see beauty in the quiet. You believe her. That evening, your father shares a rare story, one from his childhood, before the Colosseum, before the lifts, before the stone. He speaks of a village near the mountains, where trees leaned so far into the wind they seemed ready to walk, where goats wore bells that chimed like songs, and where the stars came so close at night you could reach out and touch them. He pauses often, as if listening to the words before letting them go. You and your mother say nothing. You let the story fill the room like a warm fog dot afterward. You lie on your mat and hold the wooden bird in both hands. You imagine it flying toward those mountains, through the trees, beneath the stars. You wonder if your father ever truly left that place, or if a piece of him still lives there, nestled in the roots, listening to the wind. And as you fall asleep, the quiet around you doesn't feel like silence anymore. It feels like memory, like love held between stone walls, like home. You wake to the sound of sweeping, not the harsh scrape of a stiff broom on stone, but the soft brushing of straw bristles, steady and rhythmic, almost musical. When you open your eyes, you see your mother moving gently through the chamber, clearing away the dust left by yesterday's mist. The fire glows low beside her, painting her silhouette in warm amber. You stay quiet for a while, just watching, wrapped in the cocoon of your blanket and breath, as if the simple act of watching her sweep could hold the morning still. Today is one of those rare days when the Colosseum above sleeps entirely. No games, no training, no visitors. Even the guards move slower, quieter. The halls feel wider on days like this, as if the whole place is taking a deep breath. You rise, stretch, and rinse your face with cool water from the basin. The splash stirs the scent of yesterday's herbs, mint and thyme still clinging to the folds of your tunic. You're assigned to inventory storage today, which means counting baskets of grain, bundles of kindling, and jars of lamp oil. It's a quiet job, one that lets your mind drift as your hands work. You walk through rows of woven crates, running your fingers along their lids, listening to the tiny creaks of shifting twine and the gentle crunch of straw beneath your sandals. You whisper the numbers aloud as you go, each one a small anchor dropped into the sea of morning quiet. Along one wall, you find a small stack of discarded items, a cracked amphora, a broken handle, a torch that won't hold flame. You kneel beside them and turn each one over with care. Even in their brokenness, these things tell stories. A jar that once held wine from the coast, a handle worn smooth from years of touch, a torch that gave its last light in a corridor you may have walked 100 times. You pick up the broken torch and carry it to the side, setting it gently in. A pile of things too meaningful to throw away. Later, as you leave the storage chamber, you hear the whisper of cloth brushing stone. You turn the corner and find the old dwarf again, your quiet friend kneeling with a bit of chalk, drawing on the wall. It's a strange little sketch this time, a row of stars above a sleeping beast, its mouth curled not in a snarl, but in a smile. He glances at you, then gestures for you to come closer. When you do, he points to the beast and says even the monsters rest sometimes. You nod. You understand. You help him finish the stars, dotting them with small presses of white chalk until they shimmer against the dark wall. Then he hands you the chalk and walks away, his sandals scuffing softly. You stand there for a moment longer, looking at the sleeping creature. Then you add one last mark, a little bird, perched on its back dot in the afternoon. Your mother shows you how to mend a tear in a water pouch. You sit together on the floor, thread and awl in hand, pressing the leather between your fingers and, working slowly, methodically, she tells you that water always finds the smallest gap, that if you sew with intention, you can hold even the heaviest flow. You listen carefully, not just to her words, but to the way she speaks them like each. One has been shaped by time and handed down like a stone worn smooth. When the patch is done, you test it with a trickle of water. It holds. Your mother smiles. Good, she says softly. Now it's yours. You hold the pouch in your lap like a treasure. Evening falls slowly to day, as if reluctant to arrive. The torches are lit one by one, their glow rising in little spirals of gold along the tunnel walls. Shadows stretch and curl like cats. You walk with your father down one of the far corridors to deliver a basket of folded linen to the healer's alcove. The healer nods in thanks and gives you a small bit of sweet root in return. You chew it slowly on the walk back, letting the taste linger. Back home, your mother stirs a pot of porridge while your father sharpens the edge of a worn tool. You sit nearby, drawing little shapes in the dust with your fingertip arches, stars, waves. Your blanket is folded neatly beside you. Your wooden bird rests on your knee. Everything feels full, quiet, exactly enough. Later, as you settle into your blanket and close your eyes, you hear it, the soft chirp of a real bird, somewhere near the outer grate. It must have flown down from the upper world, looking for a place to rest. You smile, imagining it perched beside your carved bird. Both of them content in the hush of stone dot. Your breath slows. The air feels warm and smooth in your lungs. You sink deeper into the quiet, deeper into the rhythm of the place you call home. And far above, beyond the marble and dust, the world turns. But down here, you are still. You are stone. You are story. You are peace. You wake to the sound of sweeping. Not the harsh scrape of a stiff broom on stone, but the soft brushing of straw bristles, steady and rhythmic, almost musical. When you open your eyes, you see your mother moving gently through the chamber, clearing away the dust left by yesterday's mist. The fire glows low beside her, painting her silhouette in warm amber. You stay quiet for a while, just watching, wrapped in the cocoon of your blanket and breath, as if the simple act of watching her sweep could hold the morning still. Today is one of those rare days when the Colosseum above sleeps entirely. No games, no training, no visitors. Even the guards move slower, quieter. The halls feel wider on days like this, as if the whole place is taking a deep breath. You rise, stretch, and rinse your face with cool water from from the basin. The splash stirs the scent of yesterday's herbs, mint and thyme still clinging to the folds of your tunic. You're assigned to inventory storage today, which means counting baskets of grain, bundles of kindling, and jars of lamp oil. It's a quiet job, one that lets your mind drift as your hands work. You walk through rows of woven crates, running your fingers along their lids, listening to the tiny creaks of shifting twine and the gentle crunch of straw beneath your sandals. You whisper the numbers aloud as you go, each one a small anchor dropped into the sea of morning quiet. Along one wall, you find a small stack of discarded items, a cracked amphora, a broken handle, a torch that won't hold flame. You kneel beside them and turn each one over with care. Even in their brokenness, these things tell stories. A jar that once held wine from the coast, a handle worn smooth from years of touch, a torch that gave its last light in a corridor you may have walked 100 times. You pick up the broken torch and carry it to the side, setting it gently in, a pile of things too meaningful to throw away. Later, as you leave the storage chamber, you hear the whisper of cloth brushing stone. You turn the corner and find the old dwarf again, your quiet friend kneeling with a bit of chalk, drawing on the wall. It's a strange little sketch this time, a row of stars above a sleeping beast, its mouth curled not in a snarl, but in a smile. He glances at you, then gestures for you to come closer. When you do, he points to the beast and says even the monsters rest sometimes. You nod. You understand. You help him finish the stars, dotting them with small presses of white chalk until they shimmer against the dark wall. Then he hands you the chalk and walks away, his sandals scuffing softly. You stand there for a moment longer, looking at the sleeping creature. Then you add one last mark, a little bird, perched on its back dot in the afternoon. Your mother shows you how to mend a tear in a water pouch. You sit together on the floor, thread and awl in hand, pressing the leather between your fingers and working slowly, methodically. She tells you that water always finds the smallest gap, that if you sew with intention, you can hold even the heaviest flow. You listen carefully, not just to her words, but to the way she speaks them like each. One has been shaped by time and handed down like a stone worn smooth. When the patch is done, you test it with a trickle of water. It holds. Your mother smiles. Good, she says softly. Now it's yours. You hold the pouch in your lap like a treasure. Evening falls slowly to day, as if reluctant to arrive. The torches are lit one by one, their glow rising in little spirals of gold along the tunnel walls. Shadows stretch and curl like cats. You walk with your father down one of the far corridors to deliver a basket of folded linen to the healer's alcove. The healer nods in thanks and gives you a small bit of sweet root in return. You chew it slowly on the walk back, letting the taste linger. Back home, your mother stirs a pot of porridge while your father sharpens the edge of a worn tool. You sit nearby, drawing little shapes in the dust with your fingertip arches, stars, waves. Your blanket is folded neatly beside you. Your wooden bird rests on your knee. Everything feels full, quiet, exactly enough. Later, as you settle into your blanket and close your eyes, you hear it, the soft chirp of a real bird, somewhere near the outer grate. It must have flown down from the upper world, looking for a place to rest. You smile, imagining it perched beside your carved bird, both of them content in the hush of stone dot. Your breath slows. The air feels warm and smooth in your lungs. You sink deeper into the quiet, deeper into the rhythm of the place you call home. And far above, beyond the marble and dust, the world turns. But down here, you are still. You are stone. You are story. You are peace.